Thank you guys for joining me here on the last segment of today's show. Just a quick preview here of Monday Night Football. The game is set to kick off in less than an hour here Eastern Time, and it's going to be a good one, I think, between the Dolphins and the Los Angeles Rams here tonight. Two teams trending in opposite directions, though, over the last month or so, with Miami traveling 6 hours, making that 6 hour flight over to Los Angeles tonight to face the Rams tonight. The Dolphins enter this game at 2-6, but like I said, on a three-game losing streak, where the Rams are on the opposite side. They're at 4-4 and have a three-game win streak in their last three games. And these two teams don't really play each other too often, but Miami has had the upper hand recently. Miami has won the last five meetings between these two teams, and the Rams' last win hasn't been since 2001, since I was born, when they were still the St. Louis Rams. So it's been about like 23 years since the Rams last won one of these games, because they don't play that often, but really the Dolphins have had the upper hand just in general, head to head. And despite the losing streak, though, this Miami team is pretty interesting just because they played a great game last week against Buffalo that concluded with Tyler Bass obviously hitting that game-winning field goal that won the game for them 30-27. But the Dolphins haven't been playing bad, on offense at least. They haven't played bad against the Cardinals, but they ended up losing that game as well on a late second, field goal. Same story last week. The offense not playing awful by any means, but still, it's that last drive where they just can't hold up, and they've lost two games where you look at it differently, and they would be 4-4 as well, just like the Rams. But sometimes that's just how it goes, and it's unfortunate for this Dolphins team because they had a lot of optimism going into this season, right? Mike McDaniel talking about how it was a constant reminder of them not having success in the playoffs recently, how they felt pretty good about this team, but with the injury to Tua, obviously that affected everything. And they sit here 2-6, trying to save their playoff hopes with a win here tonight. But the Rams, on the other side, they've been on the positive side of those close games. Just last week, they won in overtime, 26-20 against the Seahawks in Seattle, as Matthew Stafford threw that game-winning touchdown pass to DeMarcus Robinson, and they're getting hot at the right time. I've been very high on the Rams recently, and looking at them a bit closer now, why I've been so hot on them is because they're getting healthier. They obviously got Puka back, they obviously got Cooper Kupp back, but tonight they're expected to have two offensive line starters, Steve Avila and Jonah Jackson, who they got in free agency from the Detroit Lions. Both of those guys are expected to start here tonight. They should have been activated off of the IR for this game, so they should be ready to go in tonight's matchup between these two teams. Looking at it now, just to make sure, yeah, they are off the IR, so they should be starting tonight, which is a great sign for them, alongside with fellow offensive lineman Joe Noteboom. He should be healthy enough to play tonight. After practicing last week, he wasn't able to play, but he should be ready to go here tonight against the Dolphins. And not only on offense, but a big part of why, I'm so optimistic about this Rams team is because they're getting healthier, like I said, but their defense continues to make impact plays game in and game out. I believe they're holding strong for a young defense. I think they have playmakers, like I've mentioned before. They've held their opponents to 20 points or less over the last three games, and it falls no shorter than guys like Cameron Kitchens making plays. He had two interceptions last week. Braden Fiske, Jared Verse, two rookies along that defensive line that have really made an impact coming over, funny enough, from Florida State University. Teammates, now they're playing together at the highest level, and it looks like they haven't missed a beat. They're playing very well alongside each other, and you got the second-year guys, right? Byron Young and Kobe Turner, both of them contributing. All four of these guys contributed to 7 sacks last week on Geno Smith against the Seahawks, and their offense just continues to to stay steady with Stafford, Kupp, Kyren, and Puka Nacua, it's hard for me to argue against them, really, because at the healthiest that they could be, I think they're right there with a lot of teams in the NFC, along with a great coach like Sean McVay. How could you not believe in this team? Whereas the Dolphins, they had some injury questions going into this game. Tyreek Hill popped up on the injury report with a wrist injury, but he should be ready to go tonight. The guys that aren't going to be healthy, though, for the Dolphins are going to be their fullback, Alec Ingold, Jeff Wilson, their running back, Drew or D. Eskridge won't be healthy enough to play tonight, and I believe Javon Holland was a question going into this game, and I think he is healthy tonight, so he should be ready to go, which is huge for them, obviously, because he's one of their better players on defense. But Javon Holland should be good to go after appearing as questionable. They should be out there tonight, and it's a tough situation with the Dolphins. They have the players, right? Jalen Ramsey, Javon Holland, Tyreek, Jalen, and everything like that. But with Tua being out, it's just been too big of a period in the season where they just really weren't competitive, and it stinks. It stinks because their offense fully healthy and should be considered one of the better ones. I thought they were really going to compete this year in the AFC East, but the only team above 500 is the Bills, so the rest of that division really has just fallen off. And the Dolphins have also dealt with injuries. Unfortunately, Jalen Phillips suffered another severe injury to cause him to miss the rest of the year. Bradley Chubb really hasn't been involved, I don't really think. So they've been missing some guys, and it's just been a very unfortunate season for them. But in tonight's game, some matchups that could determine it, the first one being Jalen Ramsey against Cooper Kupp and or Puka Nacua. It'll be interesting to see, because Jalen Ramsey moves a lot around that Dolphins defense, whether or not he just shadows Cooper Kupp, whether the Rams move Cooper Kupp around a lot to kind of avoid Jalen Ramsey, or how much Jalen is on Puka Nacua, and also how much he moves around to get away from Jalen. That matchup, that cat and mouse game, is going to be really interesting to watch. And obviously, if you could shut one of those guys down, it's going to go a long way with helping your team win this game. Another matchup I'm looking at falls in line with the young defensive line of the Los Angeles Rams going up against the offensive line for the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa. How well can they protect him? How disruptive this Rams defense can be to really shut down Tua and not let him get in rhythm with the short passing game, and how they build it up as the game goes along. That'll be huge in this game, as well as stopping the run, obviously, with Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert. And lastly here, Miami's pass rush to go along with the last point against a healthier Rams offensive line. Will a healthy Rams offensive line just completely take away this Miami pass rush, which already, no Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips isn't there. They rely a lot on some of their young guys. Their first-round pick, Chop Robinson, he's really been in there trying to help as much as possible. But now with the Rams offensive line as healthy as it has been really the majority of all of this year, how much is that pass rush really going to affect Matthew Stafford, or is he just going to have a clean pocket all night long? And I'm leaning towards the Rams offensive line and just keeping Matthew Stafford clean, because I think the Rams are going to pull it out tonight. Having that offensive line back is really a huge deal, because Jonah Jackson, Steve Avila, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein when he's there, these guys all together are one of the most underrated offensive lines in the NFL, and it's a shame that almost all of them got hurt in the first week against the Lions there. But at full strength with the running game with Kyren Williams, Blake Corum being sprinkled in there here and there, Puka, obviously, Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson stepping up as well, and just the brilliant offensive mind of Sean McVay, having everything like they do, and Matthew Stafford, throwing them the ball, is really hard to beat. And with all the Dolphins that they had to deal with recently, I think the Rams are going to pull it out tonight. The Dolphins are, I feel like, on the brink of being done this year. They're 2-6 already, so I feel like if they lose this game, their season is going to be all but finished, much like we talked about with the Jets. So I'm going to go with the Rams tonight. If I was to give a score, maybe like, we'll say the Rams will win. The Rams will win 27 to 16, we'll say. Around there. Ballparking it a little bit. 27 to 16 will be a score. The Rams move to 5-4, and unfortunately the Dolphins go to 2-7. But close enough to kickoff time here. We're going to finish off that show with that segment. Thank you guys for joining me on today's episode. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Chip Shot Football Podcast. Each and every weekday we do these live shows at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time with me, Manny Maradiega, as your host. Make sure to join me each and every weekday. And also follow the network on all forms of social media and check out the YouTube channels, the GSMC Podcast Network channel and the GSMC Sports Network channel to catch more of the live shows if you missed some in the past, but also more coverage around the NFL. Again, with me, Manny Maradiega, as your host. Thanking you for joining me. Join me again tomorrow, same time as usual, to recap Monday Night Football tomorrow and the rest of the action from the NFL in Week 10.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to